Y'all, just saying we got some stuff on Pooh Shiesty. Pooh Shiesty. Let me tell y'all, this stuff is crazy. You know they said he cannot get bond. Nah, they tried to bail him out today. He cannot get bond. Big 30, they taking his butt over to Texas. They gonna keep him locked up too. Now we got Pooh Shiesty mama, and she got a lot to say, y'all. Y'all need to watch this video. We need to have all eyes on deck. I need y'all to comment. I need y'all to share this video. We are at the Deep New Orleans News. I'm your host, Gigi Medici. I ain't coming to play with it, baby. All right, so come on, hype me up. Hype me up. All right, so check this out, y'all.
9 men, including Memphis rappers Pooh Shiesty and Big 30, are facing federal charges for allegedly kidnapping and robbing rapper Gucci Mane about a raid at a Cordova home that belongs to Pooh Shiesty's dad.
On April 1st, 2026, at 6 in the morning, FBI agents pulled up to a family home in Cordova, Tennessee. They weren't there for the rapper. They were there for his father. And when they knocked on that door and
you see the father? It's sad when the father is taking you through hell. That's what we living at right now. That's so sad.
Started executing that federal warrant. Somewhere in that house was a mother, a woman named Glattis Baines, and she watched the feds walk out of her home with the father of her son in handcuffs, while her son was being arrested in a whole different state at the same time. Her son, his father, both gone. Same morning, same federal case. And the case they were both taken in for, robbing and kidnapping Gucci Mane, one of the most legendary figures in the history of trap music, at gunpoint inside a Dallas studio, while her son...
Time out. I saw Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane. He was talking about how much he loved Gucci Mane and all this. Are you serious? He robbed his own person that he kind of like looked up to, mentor, that he learned stuff from. Man, you don't got no friends in this game. Get the likes up. Hype me up, y'all. Hype me up.
Was supposed to be on home detention while he was wearing a federal ankle monitor, while she had just watched him come home from federal prison 6 months earlier. Pooh Shiesty's story is not just a crime story. It is a family story. And today we are telling it from that angle. What really happened? Who was involved? What his mother did when the world found out? And what this means for everyone left behind. Let's get into it.
I don't care what y'all say. The mama knew what was going on. She knew how her husband or her baby daddy and her son is. She knew all this.
Pooh Shiesty, born Lontrell Williams Jr., was not just another rapper from Memphis. He was the one who broke through, the one who put Memphis drill on the national map in a way that hadn't been done before. His debut mixtape...
And you know what drill is. Drill music, that's all that killing music. It's the devil music. It's all about death. They promote death.
Shiesty Season dropped in 2021 and hit number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100. Number 12. Features from Gucci Mane himself. Features from Big 30. His day one, his brother from the city. The streets were behind him. The industry was behind him. His family was behind him. But here's what really went down. The rise didn't last. The legal system caught up, and by 2022, Pooh Shiesty was sitting in federal prison on a gun conspiracy charge out of Miami, looking at 5 years.
Rapper Pooh Shiesty is facing prison time after pleading guilty to a gun charge in Miami federal court. The case against Lontrell Williams Jr. stems from 3 shootings during the past 2 years, 2 of them happening right here in South Florida.
He came home in October 2025. New car, fan love, a whole celebration that went viral online. His mother watched her son walk back into the free world and had every reason to believe the worst was behind them. It wasn't, because 3 months after he came home, he allegedly walked into a recording studio in Dallas, Texas, with 9 people including...
Damn. So when they go to jail, they don't learn nothing. There ain't no reform. They gonna repeat offender. Ooh, they say he must got a nigga up in jail. He love to go back there. Ain't nothing I can do that would make me want to go back and lose my freedom.
His own father, and did something that would send shockwaves through hip-hop, through Memphis, and most importantly, through his family. And his mother, Glattis Baines, would be left behind to watch it all collapse in real time. To understand how it all fell apart, we gotta go back, all the way back. Let's rewind to the beginning. Lontrell Williams Jr. grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis has always had a culture of its own, a sound, a code, a way of moving that is different from anywhere else in the South. The city that gave us 3-6 Mafia, the city that built its own
Oh
version of street
shit.
music that the rest of the country
Oh
eventually
shit.
caught up to. Pooh Shiesty
Right.
came out of that world, and his mother, Glattis Baines, raised him. She was in his corner from the
Okay.
start. And when he started gaining real traction in music, when the Gucci Mane cosign landed, when 1017 Records came calling in 2020, it looked like everything the family had been working toward was finally paying off. His father, Lontrell Williams Sr., was also in the picture, present, close, and according to federal prosecutors, as we are going to get into, significantly more involved in his son's world than most people knew. Then there was Rodney Wright Jr., Big 30, his Memphis brother. They came up together, recorded together, featured on each other's projects. When Shiesty season dropped and blew up, Big 30 was right there. When Pooh Shiesty went to prison, Big 30 kept moving. And when Pooh Shiesty came home, Big 30 was still there. That loyalty, that bond, is important because it is exactly what prosecutors say made Big 30 one of 9 people standing in that Dallas studio on January 10th, 2026. This is where things started getting federal. In October
Ooh.
2025, Pooh Shiesty walked out of federal prison after serving 3 years of a 5-year sentence. He had pleaded guilty to conspiring to possess a firearm in connection with crimes of violence and drug trafficking. He came home early. He came home to fans going crazy on social media. He came home to a viral moment, but he came home with conditions: federal home detention, an ankle monitor strapped to his leg.
Due at 6, Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty is out of federal prison. Court records show the Memphis native, whose real name is Lontrell Williams Jr., was released from a Pennsylvania facility after serving time for a gun charge in Florida. Williams was sentenced in 2022 to just over 5 years for conspiring to possess firearms tied to drug trafficking and violent crimes.
Whoa.
His attorney confirmed the release, saying he's eager to return to the studio and make new music.
Strict terms. He could not commit another federal offense. He could not possess a firearm. He had restrictions on his movement. The government was watching. Now, according to prosecutors, at some point in those first months home, Pooh Shiesty.
Man, these niggas don't care about no authorities. They don't listen. They'll say yes in your face just like they talking to a bitch trying to get down in her panties. They lie. They lie. They should know that by now. Hell.
Started having problems with his record deal. He was still signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 Records, and he was not happy about it. Sources close to the situation say that by 2024, Gucci Mane had actually released most of his artists from the label, but he kept 2. Pooh Shiesty was one of them. That's the part that makes your head spin. Gucci kept him specifically, kept him even while he was in prison, and according to prosecutors, that was exactly the problem Pooh Shiesty couldn't get past. But here's where it gets crazy. Instead of hiring a lawyer, instead of going through his management, instead of any of the legitimate routes that exist in the music business for contract disputes, prosecutors say Pooh Shiesty started planning something else entirely. Something that involved 9 people, a road trip from Memphis to Dallas, a stop at a Staples office supply store, and weapons. Fast forward to January 10th, 2026. Pooh Shiesty reached out to Gucci Mane and arranged a meeting, a studio session on Dallas Parkway. Come in, let's talk about the contract. Figure this out face to face. Gucci Mane agreed. He flew in from Atlanta with 2 other music industry professionals, including his head of security. They landed in Dallas on a Saturday afternoon thinking they were walking into a business conversation. According to federal court documents, investigators later learned that Pooh Shiesty's father, Lontrell Williams Sr., had visited a Staples store hours before that meeting. Prosecutors.
This sounds like a Diddy situation. Didn't they say Diddy had a pow and made somebody else sign in the contract? I mean, these rappers do that. Sound like a Diddy situation.
Believe he printed the contract termination paperwork there. The documents that were going to be placed in front of Gucci Mane, the ones he was going to be asked to sign. The meeting was never about talking. It was already decided. On January 10th, 2026, at approximately 3:43 in the afternoon, the group entered the studio. 3 victims walked into that building thinking they were in a professional environment. What prosecutors say happened inside over the next hour is what the federal government is now calling a coordinated armed takeover. Pooh Shiesty asked to speak with Gucci Mane privately. He pulled him into the recording room. With him in that room, according to the FBI affidavit, was his own father, Lontrell Williams Sr., and Big 30, Rodney Wright Jr. 3 against 1.
Lontrell Williams Jr. arranged this meeting purportedly to discuss the terms of his recording contract with one of the victims.
Pooh Shiesty placed the contract termination paperwork on the table in front of Gucci Mane. He told him to sign. Gucci Mane refused. And that is when, according to prosecutors, Pooh Shiesty pulled out an AK-style pistol and pointed it at the man who built 1017 Records, the man who gave him his first major cosign, the man who had kept him on the roster while he sat in a federal...
Damn, you can't be nice to these niggas. He did this to the man that put him on, that gave him an option to get out. You know, especially with this nigga keep on going in and out of prison, in and out of prison. You would think he'd be grateful. But nah, he said, nah, if you don't let me out. Nigga, you signed on the contract, nigga. You should watch what you sign. Okay? But he wanted to, I guess, threaten Gucci Mane. Do y'all really think he was going to kill him? Or do you think he was just bluffing? You know, I'm thinking if you pull out a gun, you better use that motherfucker. Okay? Send your ass to the morgue. Let's go. Hype me up, y'all. Hype me up. Get the likes up.
Prison cell. Signed the paper. Gucci Mane signed. And then the robbery. Because it did not stop at the contract. After Gucci signed, Pooh Shiesty allegedly took his wedding ring off his finger, his watch, his earrings, his cash, everything. Meanwhile, outside that recording room, the remaining 6 co-conspirators had drawn their weapons on the 2 other victims. One of them, identified in the complaint only as MM, was pushed onto the studio couch and stripped of his wallet and jewelry. The other, identified as BP, was choked from behind to the point of nearly losing consciousness. He was then robbed of a Rolex watch, a Louis Vuitton bag, Apple AirPods, and additional valuables. And Big 30? Prosecutors say Big 30 stood at the studio door. He blocked it with his body. Nobody was getting out until the job was done. At one point, according to the criminal complaint, the victims believed they were about to be executed. They thought that was the end, right there in that studio on Dallas Parkway on a Saturday afternoon. Eventually, they were ordered out. The crew loaded into their vehicles, a 2020 Dodge Charger Hellcat registered to Pooh Shiesty's father, and 2 rental cars also rented in his father's name, and they left. They got a hotel room in Dallas that night, and within hours of leaving that studio, multiple co-defendants were posting on social media, flashing the stolen jewelry, flexing the stolen Rolexes, broadcasting the evidence to their own followers. The investigation that followed was, to put it simply, overwhelming. And the most remarkable thing about...
Ooh, that's so stupid. They so vain, so egotistical. These are some demons. You hear what I'm saying? They on some demon time for real. Well, they tell you they demons in their music, so at least they are what they rap, right?
It is how much of the evidence came from the defendants themselves.
Within hours of leaving the Dallas studio, a number of the defendants were on social media displaying some of the items that appeared to be the jewelry that had been robbed from the victims.
The ankle monitor on Pooh Shiesty's leg placed him at the studio at the exact time of the robbery, in direct violation of his home detention terms. He was supposed to be home. The federal government was already tracking his location in real time and didn't even know yet what he had done. License plate reader data documented the convoy traveling from Memphis to Dallas in the days before January 10th. Cell phone records corroborated the same timeline. Rental car paperwork tied Lontrell Williams Sr. to the vehicles the group used. Surveillance footage from the studio building, from a neighboring office building, from the Staples store, and from the hotel where the crew stayed afterward. All of it captured on camera. Then the fingerprints. Investigators recovered latent fingerprints from inside the studio, including from red plastic cups left behind by the crew, and matched them to multiple defendants. And then, the AirTag. One of the stolen wallets had an Apple AirTag inside it. The last recorded location of that AirTag was a parking lot directly adjacent to the apartment building where Lontrell Williams Sr. has a lease, the same building where Pooh Shiesty had been staying. The stolen wallet led the feds back to the front door. On April 1st, 2026, FBI agents executed a search and arrest warrant at the family home in Cordova, Tennessee. Lontrell Williams Sr. was taken into custody in Memphis. Pooh Shiesty, who had been staying at a residential re-entry facility in Dallas, was taken into custody there. 8 of the 9 suspects were arrested across Dallas, Memphis, and Nashville in a single coordinated operation. The 9th, Terrence Rogers, the one who had posted the stolen Rolex on social media, was still being sought at the time of the DOJ announcement. The 32-page criminal complaint was unsealed on April 2nd, and that is when the rest of the world found out what had happened to Gucci Mane in that Dallas studio on January 10th. Now, here is the part that split the internet completely in half. Federal documents show that one of the victims, referred to as R.D., Radrick Davis, Gucci Mane's legal name, cooperated with investigators. He identified his attacker by Instagram handle. He described what the man was wearing. He told the feds exactly who walked into that studio. 50 Cent went online almost immediately, referencing Gucci's street history and questioning how the same man who built that reputation ended up cooperating in a federal case. The post got deleted, but the screenshots lived forever. The debate that followed was immediate and divided. Was Gucci wrong for cooperating with law enforcement as a victim of an armed robbery and kidnapping? Or does the fact that he built his name on a certain code change the calculus? The internet has been arguing about it ever since. Big 30's lawyer Arthur Horn came out with a statement. He said his client has no prior criminal history, that he and Pooh Shiesty came up in the music game together, that they were close, and that people should not pass judgment until all the facts come out. He expressed hope that Big 30 would get a bond and be able to fight the case from the outside. Every defendant, all 9, faces a maximum sentence of life in federal prison if convicted. But gang, let's talk about what nobody is really sitting with. Glattis Baines. On the morning of April 1st, she watched FBI agents execute a federal search warrant on her family's home. Lontrell Williams Sr., Pooh Shiesty's father, was taken out of that house in custody. And her son, her firstborn, the one who just came home 6 months ago, the one whose release she celebrated, the one the whole city celebrated, was being arrested in Dallas at the same time. Her son and his father, both gone. Same morning, same federal kidnapping case. She didn't say nothing directly. She went to Facebook and she started posting. On Wednesday, she wrote, and I'm reading this exactly, "It's power in the name Jesus." Just that. Prayer, faith.
Oh my God, they kill me with this fake ass religion shit. Y'all wasn't living for Jesus. Y'all wasn't being obedient for Jesus. Now you want to bring Jesus. Nobody's buying that bullshit except for the heathens that's lukewarm. That's some bullshit right there.
Nothing about the case, nothing about the charges. Then on Thursday, after the DOJ press conference, after the whole world found out it was Gucci Mane, after the 32-page complaint dropped and the internet went into full meltdown, she posted again. My ears ringing. Hashtag keep talking. Hashtag blessings on blessings. With a row of prayer hand emojis, and then one more. I've been blocked, you hating folks. Hashtag amen. That's all she gave the public. 3 face.
Now, the thing about it is, these women, these mothers, they know what's going on with their son. They profit off of it. They want all the Chanel bags, all the materialistic things that their kids steal and rob for. And then they want to turn around when they're in trouble. Praise God, they're such a Christian. They're so, just like that Christian Rock. It is a sick cycle that they hide behind religion. They give Christians a bad name, honestly. Let's go. Hype me up.
Book posts. No press statement, no interview, no tears on camera. Just a mother leaning on her faith while the world talked about her family. And that right there, that silence, those 3 posts, those prayer hands, says more than any press release ever could. Think about what Glattis Baines has been through. She raised a son who became one of the biggest rappers in Memphis history. She watched him catch a federal case at the height of his career. She visited him in prison. She watched him walk out in October.
She should have told his ass, you got to stop or stop. She should have stopped accepting them Gucci bags and them Louis Vuittons and stop promoting that shit. I don't feel sorry for her. I don't feel sorry for none of these niggas. They choose this lifestyle. They play what I done die by the gun. Let's go.
2025 and come home to fans going crazy. She had every reason to exhale. And then 4 months later, 4 months, the FBI is at her front door at 6 a.m, and they're taking the father of her child. No cap. That is one of the most painful things I can imagine. And she handled it with nothing but prayer and silence, and maybe a little bit of defiance toward the people she felt were talking sideways. YSL Woody, who has his own history with the legal system, went on Instagram looking visibly shaken. He talked about watching Pooh Shiesty come home, drop a first day out record, and get sent right back. He said pride and ego are the real enemies. He said the cycle stops when the mindset changes, and the comments under his video were split. some agreeing, some defending Pooh Shiesty, some questioning Gucci. Clarissa Shields backed Woody up publicly on X. The entire culture was reacting in real time, but Glattis Baines just posted her prayer hands and kept it moving. This case changed things. For real. For Pooh Shiesty, a man who had every tool he needed to rebuild, a fan base that was waiting, a music industry that still had space for him, a potential second act that most people coming out of federal prison never get. It is now looking like it may be over. If convicted, he faces life in federal prison.
All right. Well, that should teach y'all stop robbing and killing and go pray and go find Jesus, which you'll never do. Comment, let us know your thoughts about this, and I'm out.